So I don't know if you're aware, but vehicles which are 40 years old or over qualify for historic status. That means you don't need to get an MOT test every year. It means you don't need to pay for road tax. You usually can qualify for classic motorcycle insurance as well. Now 40 years feels like a long time, but actually there's some pretty modern technology in there. So we've been at the Classic Bike Show in Stafford to try and find some examples of great mid-80s bikes for when Carol Nash was formed, that qualify for historic status, that you can actually ride on a fairly regular basis. And none, I think, is more iconic than this, the original Kawasaki GPZ900R, the very first Ninja, the Top Gun bike. So in a lot of ways, this bike set a blueprint for what we've come to know today. It broke away from the sit up and beg, standard universal Japanese machine that we'd seen in the 80s, or going into the 80s. Instead, you had things like liquid cooling, every day today, but actually back then quite groundbreaking. 16 valve heads, performance, 155 miles an hour this thing did. It was quite something back in the day, and it set a blueprint for what would go on throughout the 80s and the 90s. In 1986, it appeared in the movie Top Gun, that iconic scene where Tom Cruise chases down the runway, going flat out on this thing, turned into an instant icon. But I think you've got a very usable classic motorcycle that kind of can still hold its own today. Brilliant bike. Back in 1985, something pretty unthinkable happened in the racing world. A young talented American called Freddie Spencer, he entered both the 250 and 500cc World Championships as a factory Honda rider. Not only did he enter them both, he won them both. And it was going to be the highlight of his career. But also at that time, I remember we were riding sporty Grand Prix replica two-stroke bikes. And this was Honda's answer to that. We had the Yamaha RD50, we had the Suzuki RG500 too. This was the NS400R, 400cc, because it was designed to be sold in the Japanese market where they had capacity restrictions. But this was a pucka little race bike, two-stroke, three-cylinder engine, just like Freddie's. Today, very collectible, great fun to ride. I'd have one in my garage if I could, absolutely. If you were 16 in 1985, you wanted a cool moped. I know I did. There was loads of cool mopeds out there. If you wanted a sports style bike, you wanted a motocross style bike, it was something for you. This is the one that's caught my eye today because it caught my eye back then. It's a Yamaha RD50 MX Mark II. This one has been immaculately restored, looks beautiful. It's got the almost customary Micron exhaust in there, and it's probably also got a big bore kit in there, but we don't tell anyone about that, okay? So we had one of these as our first bike. I know I did, my son did, and it's a bike that launched the careers of dozens and dozens of world champion motorcycle racers. It's Yamaha's iconic PB50. This is an early 80 example. And you know what? There's a whole scene coming for classic dirt bikes, as you can see here at the competition hall at the Carol Nash Motorcycle Mechanics Show. Now we couldn't leave the Classic Motorcycle Mechanics Show without showing you the bike that won the best 80s bike in show. It was excess all areas back then, and it looks as magnificent now as it did then. 1984 Kawasaki Z1300, 6-cylinder, one of the very first fuel-injected bikes. This one is absolutely immaculate. It's no wonder it won the best in show. We had a great time in the show. We hope you've enjoyed seeing these classic 1980s bikes. If you like what you see, please give us some comments below. Subscribe to the channel. Until next time, thanks for watching.